Hi, I'm Jackie. I tried the most eco-friendly Burmese food delivery in Bangkok, the Tiffin Lunch Box, for a whole week. In this video, you will see what's inside the Tiffin box and discover the story behind it. We will also explore the key difference between Chinese and Burmese cuisine. From there, you will see why Burmese food is especially well suited for this kind of food delivery service. In the end, I will share some unexpected but fascinating things I discovered in Burmese culture. What is a tiffin? Tiffin is an Anglo-Indian word, originated during British colonial rule in India. It actually comes from the Old English slang tiffin or to tiff, which originally meant having a light drink. Over time, the meaning evolved to refer to lunch. Eventually, the word tiffin also came to describe the stacked metal containers used to carry that lunch. It is an iconic symbol of Indian culinary culture. My original plan just ends here. Just give a quick, brief history on tiffins and move on to my delivery experience. But somehow, every time I thought I was done, something else would happen. Maybe a person I met, a trip I took, a gift I received, a movie I watched, and all of this would lead me right back to the tiffin history. The more I explored, the more curious I became. So in this part, it might be a little bit longer, but I would like to share that journey with you. And if tiffin history is not your thing, just skip it. The next chapter is more about food. So, how was the first tiffin box invented? While I was doing my research, I came across a Malaysian couple, Prakash and Punita, who have collected over 300 tiffin carriers. They even wrote an entire book about it. According to their research, it was actually the British who designed the first metal tiffin. When they arrived in India, they noticed how farmers' wives would deliver hot meals to the field to their husband by balancing the stacked clay pots on their heads. These clay pots are fragile, so the British came up with a more durable version, a handheld, stacked metal lunchbox, perfect for Indian meals, keeping roti, curry, rice, soup, pickles neatly separated. I found some early tiffin designs really resemble those clay pots. From here, things start to get more interesting. This is a modern Turkish version. Michael and I took a 6-hour round trip, get it from a very sweet German couple, who bought it in 1980s in the city of Urfa, Turkey. Look at the locking system. It's the same idea. 2 long rods that spin down to tighten the layers together. At first, I thought this must be inspired by the Indian tiffin. And the design is so clever and so elegant. This kind of design doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It must have evolved for something older. It makes me wonder, where did this idea really begin? So I keep digging and entered the Islamic world. In the British Museum, there is a brass lunchbox dating back to 15th to 16th century from the Mamluk dynasty, which ruled parts of Egypt and the Levant before Ottomans. It doesn't look familiar at first, because it's missing the side plates that holds the layers together. But in the Ashmolean Museum, I found another one from 15th century in Syria. This one even have a handlebar. And then it clearly shows the side plates, which probably hooked underneath. Here, the hooks are missing, still incomplete. Then I found a copper lunchbox in a museum in Algiers. This one finally had it all, the hooks, the plates, the full locking system. Keep tracing these missing parts made me realize something. The old plate and hook system is heavy and might be easy to lose pieces. You can actually see people experimenting with different side plates design for centuries. Take the gold-plated lunchbox from Turkey, for example. The side plates have a leafy and floral shape, beautiful, but still based on that same basic locking idea. Then suddenly, changes happened. Here is a lunchbox from Ottoman area. This one used 2 long square rods, just like the modern Turkish version, more durable and much lighter. And then that got me thinking. People had been tinkering with side plates for centuries. Why did it take more than 400 years to come up with this screw and rod system? The question really stuck with me until I realized it wasn't just about creativity, it was about technology. Although metal workers could cut screw threads by hand, but it was slow, imprecise, expensive, and mostly preserved for clocks, tools, or weapons, not your average lunchbox. But during the Industrial Revolution in the mid-1800s, people has better tools to make it faster, cheaper, and much more precise. That changed everything. And then guess what? The timeline matches what antique dealers in Turkey told me. The screw and rod style getting popular around 1850s. During the Ottoman period, workers used them to carry food to work. Some even came with 4 rods of different lengths, so you could adjust between 3 layers or 5 layers. It wasn't just a clever design, it was a moment technology finally catching up with daily life. Later came the spoons and forks, but only in the 20th century after Western influence brought fork into daily life. So here, the lineage of Ottoman, or more broadly Islamic-style lunchbox, a clear evolution from form and function over time. And now we're back to the big question. Where is the tiffin box really come from? Was it adapting from Indian clay pots and British design? Possibly. In India, people have stacked and hand pots for centuries, and tiffin box does look like a mix of those stacked pots and lunch pails English miners used. Or could the tiffin trace its roots to Islamic lunch boxes? Quite possible. Those old Islamic lunch boxes all share the same core idea: stacked, locked metal containers for food, very much like tiffins, but with a much longer history. Line them up, you can clearly see the lineage. India and the Islamic world had deep culture and trade ties for centuries. And then here is a great example, an Indian lunchbox from around the 1900s. At first, it looks almost as same as the Islamic lunch boxes we just explored together. But look closer. The engraved patterns mix the geometric, radiating forms of Islamic metalwork with the softer lotus petal-like motifs in Indian art. Together, they form a beautiful Indo-Islamic fusion. By the late 19th century, when tiffins were starting to get popular in India, designs like this were already around. And then what about China? Stacked bamboo baskets, wooden food boxes, porcelain carriers were widely used during the Song dynasty, long before tiffin existed. Ideas and objects travel along the Silk Road. Could these Chinese designs have played a part? Why not? So, where did the tiffin really come from? India? Middle East? China? Honestly, I don't know. There is no perfect answer. But here is what I do know. Tiffin came from people who needed a way to carry food, people who took idea and make it better, people who passed that idea along across cities, borders, and generations. And in the case of tiffin, it is Indian people truly make the idea to the next level. By the late 19th to early 20th century, Indian makers developed dozens of different locking systems, making tiffins easier to carry, assemble, and use. And it was the Dabbawalas, Indians' incredible lunch delivery network, that turned the tiffin into something truly extraordinary. In Hindi, Dabba means tiffin box, Wala means the person who carries it. The system began in Mumbai in the late 1800s when people moved to the city to work. They want fresh meal at work. Fast food didn't exist, so Dabbawalas filled the gap. They pick up meals from homes, sort them, transport them by bike, by train, and drop them off to office workers all across the city. And after lunch, the empty tiffins go back to home the same way they came. Even today, over 5,000 Dabbawalas deliver more than 200,000 tiffin boxes every single day. It is smart, it is sustainable, and bring a warm connection to homemade food. Speaking of connection, here is an Indian tiffin carrier from 1950s. It is my birthday present from Michael. I was so thrilled when I got it. It is made of hand-beaten copper, tinned on the inside. The frame holds the stacked containers together. Here is a small latch that spins to lock the lid. It is a very classic old tiffin style. Look at the bumpy edges, the handlebar worn extra smooth from use over years. When I hold it, I feel connected to a much older time. In British colonial times, starting in the late 1800s, the tiffin tradition spread across Southeast Asia. In Malaysia, the Peranakan Chinese embraced it right away. Like Indians, they enjoyed rice with multiple side dishes. So, a stacked tiffin box made perfect sense. For Peranakan Chinese, it wasn't just about functionality, it was also about beauty. With their refined taste and a love for intricate, decorative art, they helped take tiffin design to the next level. Their culture itself is a unique blend of Chinese and Southeast Asian traditions, and you can see that fusion clearly in the design of these tiffins. One side, hand-painted, auspicious Chinese motifs. The other side, golden slogans written in Malay. But here is a twist. Prakash and Punita discovered these beautiful enamel tiffins weren't made in Asia at all. They were actually made in Europe for Asian market. Today, Asia is known as a world factory, but 100 years ago it was Europe. European factories, especially Central Europe, had the technology to produce brightly colored enamelware that appeared to Asian taste. According to them, these tiffins were not meant for European households. The eating habits just simply different, and tiffin is no use for them. That makes sense. In Europe, the metal lunchbox came from the English miners' lunch pail. Miners needed something sturdy and dust-proof for their simple meals. The design always had the same key feature: one solid outer containers with few inner layers. Later, in the early 1900s, most of the European workers' lunchboxes followed the same logic: one outer containers with a few layers inside. Simple, sturdy, practical for workers, very different from the tiffins with multiple stacked outer containers. But here is where things get even more interesting. 4 weeks ago, I was in Hamburg at a weekend flea market when this tiffin box immediately caught my eye. At first, I thought it was from Asia, but the seller told me this is Henkelmann, made in Germany, probably from 1950s, and then it is popular at that time. It looked exactly like a tiffin box. If you search Henkelmann on German second-hand website Kleinanzeigen, you will find a lot of them. These lunch carriers were popular during the industrialization, especially among railway workers and miners. There is even a restaurant in Hamburg called Henkelmann with vintage enamel tiffin lunch boxes on display. How come? Many Henkelmanns look exactly like tiffins. I don't think that is a coincidence. So, here is my theory, just a personal conclusion. I haven't found any factory records, but the story feels likely. At some point, European enamel factories, probably in Germany or Austria, started receiving orders from Asian clients, likely the Peranakan Chinese community in Malaysia, asking for colorful tiffins with floral design. And I think those factories got inspired. They saw how useful the tiffin design was and thought, what if we made something similar for local workers here in Europe? Of course, they had to simplify it. No hand-painted motif, no vibrant colors, just plain enamel or cheaper aluminum. And just like that, this type of Henkelmann was born. It became popular in Germany until workplaces canteen took over in 1960s. Funny how things flip, right? Back then, Europe made goods for Asia. Today, Asia is the world factory. Manufacturers still get inspired by customer orders and sometimes adjust those designs for local markets. Factories shift, roles reverse, but good design travels. This Henkelmann couldn't exist without everything that came before. The original design from India, the desire for colorful tiffins from Peranakan Chinese community, the technology of European factories, the everyday needs of local workers. Tiffin or Henkelmann is not just a product, it's a conversation across time, culture, and technology. Now let's jump back to early 1900s. As tiffin culture spread across Southeast Asia during British colonial times, it found a perfect home in Myanmar. Remember in my last video, we explored the traditional Burmese lunch set, a variety of dishes that all serve at once. Tiffin is ideal for this kind of meal, keeping curry, salad, soup, vegetable, rice separated. And Myanmar has a long tradition of lacquerware. especially in Bangkok region. When the Tiffin spread to Myanmar, a beautiful fusion design appeared, like this Lacquerware Tiffin. Burmese people use this type of Tiffin for alms offering, carry food to donate to monasteries. This large piece, I got it from a family of an elder German lady who had passed away. She traveled to Yangon in the 1980s and loved the Tiffin so much, she carried it by hand on the plane. Later, she never used it for food. She kept her sewing kit inside. What fascinates me most about the Burmese lacquerware is how they build the inner base. Besides wood, they often use woven bamboo, horsehair, or like this Tiffin. The lid and the bowl is made of tightly coiled bamboo strips. After coiling, they smooth and shape it like this. Does this tool look familiar to you? Yes, it is a simple wood lathe. Here are the other versions we just explored together. The hand-powered metal lathe used by clockmakers, and then a much later machine lathe for making screws. All of these build on the same principle, spin the objects and shape it with precision. That constant pursuit of precision, improving it little by little, is what carries us so far. Later, the stainless steel Tiffin replaced the old lacquerware Tiffins. People still use them to donate food to monks as a part of daily alms offering. Students bring Tiffin to school for lunch. Even today, many restaurants in Myanmar offer Tiffin delivery. And then, just like India, where the Tiffin was born, it is still very much alive in Myanmar, deeply woven into daily life and culture. Thailand also has a long relationship with Tiffins. You will often see yellow lunch boxes in restaurants used as a decoration or even to serve food, but not many people use them in daily life anymore. I've been to Henkelmann, a Burmese curry restaurant in Bangkok, many times. They have Tiffins on display. We got curious and find out. They were running a Tiffin subscription service. Minimum order is 1 week. We were intrigued, so we planted a seed. Until much later, we were moving out old apartment, working from home, packing, totally exhausted with no time to cook or eat out. Perfect time to try Tiffin delivery. We signed up for a week, paid upfront, along with a deposit for the Tiffin box, which they will refund later. Here is how it works. Every day, usually before 11:30 a.m., a driver drops off the Tiffin at your door or lobby, depending on your arrangement with the restaurant. After you eat, you wash the Tiffin and put it back at the same spot. The next day, the driver will deliver a new one and bring the old one back for reuse. They post a weekly menu in advance. You don't choose what you will eat, but you can tell them what you don't eat. They will adjust for you. The menu, though, it is all in Burmese. If we try to Google translate it, it could get quite creative. So we just embrace the mystery. And honestly, I think that is a part of the charm. Every day when I go pick up the Tiffin, I'm curious and I'm excited. What are we eating today? The walk from lobby to our apartment has never felt so long. Unpacking the Tiffin, laying out the dishes, it's like unwrapping a present with layers. It feels so good. And I'm not a big adventurous eater by nature. There are dishes I would never order on my own. But Tiffin push you to try new things, and some of them turns out to be great. There are surprises, unexpected combos. Who knew young jackfruit plus funky chili paste equals
super like meat. So good.
Of course, not everything suits your taste. But that's life, isn't it?
And a lot of fat.
After a few days of Tiffin lunches, I finally had a free Saturday morning, so I decided to go back to the restaurant to watch it in action. I expected to be a big production, but it was Saturday. Most people skip weekend delivery. Only 2 Tiffins were waiting to be packed, and one of them was ours. The staff told me on weekdays it's usually about 10 to 20 Tiffins per day. I'd come too early. Chefs were still cooking. Staff were preparing for the lunch rush. Even though my own lunch Tiffin was still in the kitchen, I couldn't resist ordering the yellow tofu salad. That's when I noticed something you don't usually see in restaurants. They have 2 tables set up near the entrance. One is for food app delivery, quick respond, made to order. Drivers wait. Food gets packed fast into plastic containers, plastic bags, and handover and sent out right away. Everything moves in a hurry. It is a standard setup you will see in most places. But the other table is for Tiffins, and it runs at a total different pace. Because of the customer pre-ordered, the restaurant can plan everything in advance. The staff moves calmly at their own rhythm, and maybe because it is slower, it really feels like you're packing food at home. Every tiffin is carefully labeled on the handlebar with the set type and then customer's initial. And you know, every tiffin will come back to be reused the next day. The whole system just feels warmer. It's built on return, on trust, and relationship. And for me, the warmer feeling is much stronger because I know these people, the chef, the accounting girl, the inside staff, the outside staff, and of course, the driver. He's the one who first taught us to eat Burmese chocolate. Michael thought he was a cook, but turns out he's our tiffin driver. After food is packed, he steps in for final assembly. Each stack goes into a big thermal container. He ties each tiffin to the corner with ropes so they don't fall during the ride. And then we had a hilarious moment. I saw he was done and I said, "Let's go together." He looked shocked. He thought I meant ride with him in his scooter to my home. We laughed so hard.
That's funny.
Be safe.
Okay, thank you.
Be safe.
Okay, thank you. Maybe I would like to say very carefully.
Very carefully. Bye-bye.
After 7 days tiffin lunches, it is time to share my final thoughts. Let's talk about the good stuff first. First, it is sustainable and low waste. Because it is a subscription-based service, customers pre-order in advance. The restaurants knows exactly how much food to cook, how much to buy, and then that helps prevent a lot of food waste. And the tiffins are reusable. Yes, they still use some plastic bags to prevent spills, but compared to modern delivery, it's much less. Plus, you can always reuse some of these plastic bags at home. Second, it feels like home food. Because you pre-ordered for a whole week or even a month, it lifts that daily stress out of you. What should I eat today? You don't need to think about it anymore, and at the same time, you don't know exactly what is coming, but you do know it will be good food. To me, the mix of safety and surprise is what home food feels like. And over these 7 days, the surprise has been the most fun part. I didn't expect myself to love funky chili paste so much.
You can feel the fish aged in your mouth.
Every time we lay out the dishes, I feel like I'm time traveling to childhood. I used to love watch historical costume drama, especially the food scenes. The food basket opened one by one, each layer revealing something delicious. I even liked the prison scene, because someone always brought food to visit. I never had one of those baskets growing up, but now I have my tiffin. Last but not least, it is well balanced and healthy. There is always a main curry, vegetables, soup, and fresh herbs, all paired with rice. Now, let's talk about the challenging part. Stainless steel tiffins don't hold heat well. You cannot microwave them, but that really depends on where you live. Here in Thailand, it is a tropical country. Room temperature food with hot rice is totally normal. Most canteens serve food that way, and some places offer to microwave for you. I rarely see locals ask. So, in this case, what matters more than temperature is, does the food still look good and taste good when it cools down? And then that is where Burmese food really shines. One staff, he told me, aside from us, none of the tiffin customers here want rice. Most tiffin is for family to share at home. And then he said, cooking rice only take 30 to 40 minutes, it's warm. At first, I just found that a bit odd, but later it clicked. Time is reflective. For him, 30 to 40 minutes isn't that long, because the main dish, dry curry, takes longer time to cook. But for me, growing up with Chinese food, it is opposite. Chinese stir-fries are fast, so to me, cooking rice feels long. The tiny moment opened up something deeper, a core difference between Chinese and Burmese cooking, when I talk about it with Michael, who is the cooking brain behind the scene. He summed it up perfectly.
For Chinese food, the timing is important. For Burmese food, the time is important.
Brilliant! If you watched my last video, to cook a good Burmese dry curry, time and patience are the key. You simmer it for a long time until the liquid evaporates and the oil is separated and return on the top. The top layer of oil is pure and clear. It locks in flavor and keeps air out, helping the dish stay fresh even in hot weather. The flavor is layering up during time, so it often tastes better when it rests. Chinese stir-fries are different. You cook quickly at a very high temperature to create a strong, fresh, punchy flavors. And then different textures, crispy, tender, silky, crunchy, all in one same dish. But to pull that off, the timing has to be perfect. That's why knife work becomes such a key technique in Chinese cooking. You cut things differently so they can cook together evenly in the same pan at the same time. Let's take chicken giblets for example. In Burmese chicken giblets curry, you cut liver, stomach, heart, and intestines into similar sizes. The focus is slow cooking to build a deep flavor over time. But in this Sichuan-style chicken giblets stir-fry, each part needs its own prep. Because they cook at different speed, they need to be cut differently, and then some of them need to be pre-cooked. Then everything is stir-fried quickly in high heat. The result is not just about flavor, it's also about texture. Chewy, tender, velvety, bouncy, crunchy, all in one plate. All of this is only possible because of the precise timing and high heat. I love Chinese stir-fries, but here is the challenge. Stir-fries taste best right after wok. If it sits too long, the heat from the food keeps cooking the ingredients, the texture starts to change, and the flavors lose their sharpness. The aroma gradually fades. When it gets cold, it can look greasy. You might ask, why doesn't the oil just flow to the top, stay clear like Burmese curry? Great question. It is also about time. In Burmese curry, because of the long cooking, the oil is pure and clear. In stir-fries, everything happens so fast. The oil is mixed into the sauce. Soy sauce, oyster sauce, bone broth, cornstarch. When it is hot, everything blends smoothly into a glossy coating. That is where the flavor is. But when it gets cold, the oil trapped inside a thick, semi-solid mix, it doesn't separate. So it might look greasy. You can reheat it, it will taste better, but it won't go back to its prime. Here, I'm comparing the most famous cooking in each cuisine. I'm not saying they're all like this. So, back to our topic. Challenge for Tiffin, the temperature. Burmese curry looks good when it gets cold, tastes better over time. It reheats well, makes it very suitable for Tiffin delivery. Another challenge part is convenience. With food apps, you can eat whatever you want, whenever you want, even at midnight. No dishes to wash. Just dump everything into trash and move on. That is convenient, and I totally get it. But Tiffins come with a discipline. You have to wash the containers, you have to return them, you have to stick to a plan. But for me, that's a small price to pay for eating healthier food, feeling more connected, creating less garbage in the world. If there is a Tiffin service near you, I really encourage you to try it, not just because it's sustainable, but because it brings you joy. You cannot compare the feeling of unboxing a Tiffin, layering out the dishes, to opening a plastic box and untie a rubber band. This kind of small joy adds up. It makes daily life more beautiful. If you live in a colder place and worry about the food temperature, don't. Many Tiffin services around the world offer thermal containers or bags, and you can always reheat your food on a plate. It's simple. I also want to encourage restaurants consider offering Tiffin subscriptions. It's not just good for the planet, it's good for your business. You get paid upfront, you waste less food, you build stronger relationship with your customers. To the restaurants already doing this, I just want to say thank you. I know it's not always easy in today's world, but what you are doing matters. You help keep a beautiful tradition alive. I hope your business is thriving. What surprised me most during this journey wasn't about Tiffins. While researching Burmese food culture and learning more about Tiffins, I keep seeing one thing: alms offering. People cooking and offering to monks early in the morning. It's not a special event, it's a part of many people's daily life. And then I read this. According to the World Population Review.com, in 2013 to 2016, Myanmar was ranked the most charitable country in the world. More than 90% of people donated to charitable causes. Even in 2022, Myanmar still ranks 6th globally. That level of generosity is incredible, especially when you think about what the Burmese people have been through. Myanmar has a high population of Theravada Buddhists. In this tradition, the act of giving is a way to collect merit. But it's more than that. What moves me most was a quote from Burmese professor May-O Lun. There is a strong culture of giving, not necessarily an obligation, but more like giving what one can possibly contribute to those in need. It doesn't have to be big, but something meaningful and something you could do to help a little bit. In that way, you are doing a good deed, generate some merit as a family, and making happy brings happiness to you as well. People are helping each other. People are taking care of each other. But let's do not forget what is still happening in Myanmar. Let's do not forget the crisis Burmese people are living through. And despite all of that, despite everything, we still see humanity shining through in every corner. That is my Tiffin journey, and I will continue. Thank you for watching.